Hello there, I'm Pigman, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the main Sonic characters because somebody had to explain why Stormy Albatross is better than freaking Badger, so, you know, I had to do this. So, yeah, we've got a bunch of the major Sonic characters all in random order, so yeah, that's a tier list, and those are Sonic characters, so I guess I'll just start talking now. So, first one we've got, better be careful with how I say this, guys. We have Dr. E.G.G.M.A.N. Nega. Whew, almost got demonetized there. You know, I don't know, this character's fine, I guess. I've never played the Sonic Rush games, so I don't have a lot to say, because those are really the only games he's in, other than, like, the Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games, so, again, he's alright. I mean, it's just Dr. Eggman from a different dimension. He's alright. Nothing too great, nothing too bad. Honestly, I think I'd give him C tier just because, I don't know, like, what has he ever done? Like, his personality is just, it's just Dr. Eggman, but different? I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this guy. So yeah, I think C tier is good. He's not the worst, but, you know, compared to, like, regular Dr. Eggman, like, you know. Anyway, up next, Blaze the Cat, another character from the Sonic Rush games. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. I like Blaze. I like Blaze a lot as a character. You know, obviously she was in the Sonic Rush games, but she was in Sonic 06, she was in Generations, and, honestly, she hasn't really been around in a while. Like, in, like, the late 2000s, early 2010s, she was in a lot of Sonic games, and then she just kinda dipped for a while. And I know she's still in a lot of the spin-offs and everything, but honestly, like, I feel like she hasn't been around in a while, outside of, like, cameos and stuff. But as far as her character goes, like, I like her. I mean, she's kind of like the polar opposite of Sonic. Like, you know, she's from that opposite dimension where Sonic, he's, like, he's very outgoing, very friendly, always trying to always trying to act first before thinking. And I feel like Blaze is kind of the opposite of like that. She doesn't really like people. She's kind of quiet and by herself, and you know, she's more of a thinker before acting, whatever you call that. But you know, I don't know if I'd say she's S tier. I'm leaning towards A tier, honestly. I mean, like, I like her. I really like her design. I think she looks really cool. But she also is, like, the third cat character, and, you know, at that point, I think a lot of people are starting to get tired of the cat characters. I don't know. Honestly, I really like her. I think A tier is appropriate for her. Now, the big bad boy, Dr. Robotnik. I don't know, like, he's an okay villain at best. Like, in some of the games, like, I think he's a really good villain. Like, Sonic Adventure 2, like, where he's actually a threat and stuff, like, where he's blowing up the moon and, like, threatening to destroy the whole planet, I think that's when he's at his best. But when he's just trying to build, like, a stupid theme park and, you know, like, that's his main goal in life, is to just build an amusement park, like, that's kind of weird. But I will say that his personality is really great. I love Mike Pollock as his voice actor. I think that he does a great job with the character. And I think overall his goofy personality is pretty funny for the most part. There are times when it can be a little annoying when you want him to be more serious. But most of the time I think he's a pretty decent character. I don't know, he's never been a favorite villain of mine, honestly. But, you know, I can see him as a decent villain. I'm putting him in B tier. Like, he's never really been a favorite villain of mine, like, overall of all gaming villains, but, you know, he's somewhere in the middle for me. I think B tier is fair for him. Ooh, haha. Okay, everybody ready for my hot take? Because this is about to blow your gosh darn minds. I don't like Tails Prower, or Miles Tails Prower, whatever his name is. His name is stupid. But I am not a fan. When I was little, I thought Tails was a girl. I don't know why I thought that. I just did. And I just feel like his character has been really ruined in the past, I don't know, probably like the past 10-15 years, I'd say. I mean, like, pretty much ever since Sonic Unleashed, I think Tails' character has been completely ruined. I mean, in the adventure games, he was all about being timid and scared, but then by the end, he works up the confidence to overcome his fears, and he realizes he doesn't need Sonic to be his own hero, and it was awesome! And then nowadays, you have Tails standing in the sideline being like a smartass, and he's just refusing to help in any sort of meaningful way, and he doesn't really have any sort of character development whatsoever, and I just feel like they really botched his character. Like, it's a really missed opportunity. Like, obviously he doesn't have to have the same, like, sort of character development every time, but at the same time he hasn't had character development for like 15 years, so, you know, it's kind of like that. And even, like, when he did have character development, I still wasn't a fan. Like, I just don't like him. I always found him to be more annoying than anything. So, honestly, I don't know. It's either C or D for me. I know, harsh, but that's the truth. Honestly, I think I'm going D. Like, I don't know. He's just not for me. I've never liked him. Like, I never even liked how he controls in most of the games, like, especially in the 2D games. I always thought his flying was super awkward. Like, he was always the last character I would pick, so... Overall... Oh, and next up we got my favorite, or not my favorite, but one of my favorites. The edgelord himself, Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, this character, easy S tier, like... There's no denying it, he's super cool, he's super badass, I love him, he's amazing, and, I mean, he got his own game for goodness sakes, and like, maybe it wasn't the greatest game, but still, he got his own game, it was pretty cool, he says bad words, he's got a gun, and pretty much whenever he's around, like, he's pretty much always pretty cool, whether it's TV, in the games, like, wherever, like, he's always just a really cool character, easy S tier for me. Now, Sonic, again, I think we're gonna have to go S tier for this, cause, I mean, the whole series is named after him, I think we have to give him the S tier. But, I mean, better than Shadow? I don't know. I mean, I like Sonic, I like him, I like him a lot. He is definitely one of the best characters. Like, obviously, the gotta go fast personality, you know, just overall, his traits and his abilities, like, obviously, like, he is, like, the perfect main character, like, pretty much of, like, any video game series ever. Like, of all the, in terms of, like, personality of all the main video game mascots, I think Sonic is easily, like, the best one. But better than Shadow? I don't know. You know what? I think I'm gonna give it to him just because, like, I feel like he has less flaws than Shadow. Like, overall, like, Shadow definitely has some flaws as a character. Sonic, I feel, is definitely more well-rounded and is just a bit more fun to play as, you know. So I think I'm gonna give him the top spot for now, but we'll see if he can keep it to the end. Ugh, Chip from Sonic Unleashed. No thank you. This is easily going in D tier. Definitely behind Tails. I mean, I don't know, like, he's just not a very appealing character. Like, he was only ever in Sonic Unleashed, and, like, I don't know, like, he's just sort of a helper companion. Like, he was never actually playable in any game as far as I'm aware, and honestly, like, I just find him to be more annoying than anything. Like, I feel like you didn't really need, like, a helper character in a Sonic game, because Sonic can talk for himself, like, he is his own character. He's never needed, like, a helper character before this, and he never needed it after this. I mean, I guess there is a few exceptions, like the Wisps and Sonic Colors, but even that's a bit of a stretch. Like, this is the only character where he really was made specifically just to help Sonic, like, narrate and talk to other characters, but again, this is like a series where you don't really need that. I mean, like, something like Zelda, like, obviously, like, Link never talks, so you kinda need to have that helper character, but with Sonic, you don't really need that, and I just feel like this character was annoying, it was stupid, there was like one scene where he died on command and his soul left his body, and then he came back, and it was really awkward and weird. And I don't know. I don't like him. I don't like his design. Like, what even is he supposed to be? Like, is he an animal? Is he an alien? I don't know. What is he? I don't like him. End of story. He's going behind Tails. Alright, so as someone who has not played the Sonic Riders games, the Sonic Riders cast is a little bit interesting. Like, I don't know too much about them. Like, I know their basic personalities and a little bit about them, but I don't know. Like, Wave, the Swallow, I don't know. I'm leaning either B or C, I don't know. Like, I don't really like her design that much. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I think I'm gonna go C here, just because, like, her personality doesn't strike me as the greatest or the most creative. She just kind of seems kind of stingy, kind of lighthearted. Not lighthearted, I mean, like, no-hearted is what I mean, because it doesn't seem like she has much of a heart, but I don't know, like, I mean, it's fine to have characters like that. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I think I'm gonna put her in C. I think I'm gonna have to put Jet in D tier. I like him less than Wave, definitely. I don't know, man. Like, he's a fine character, but I just never liked him. I hate his voice so much. Like, number one, it sounds so much like Sonic's. Like, I know they're the same voice actor, but they sound way too similar, except Jet's is way too ear-grating. And I don't know, like, his character just always annoyed me. Like, in all the games that he's been in, like, I just don't like him that much. I don't care for Jet. I think I'll put him below Tails. I think Tails is a little bit better than him, but I do think he's above Chip for some reason. I don't know. He just feels like he's above Chip for some reason, so sure. Alright, next up is Big the Cat. Big the Cat tier. Ooh, Charmy B. Now, I know a lot of people don't really like this character that much. I'm sort of indifferent with him. Like, I think he's okay. Not the greatest. I do think his voice is a little annoying, but at the same time, like, I don't think I'd give him D. Probably C tier. I think I'd give him high C. Like, I think he deserves at least that. Like, he's not the worst character ever. Like, obviously he's not written the best. Obviously he's like a little kid and doesn't have much of an IQ. He's kind of you know, your more lighthearted, child-friendly character. I don't know. He's just kind of there. He's just not in a lot of Sonic games, so there's not a lot to go off of, but, you know, I think he's okay at the very least. So, you know, I think high C is fair for him. Okay, interesting. Next up, we've got Gamma from Sonic Adventure. Now, that's the only game that he's really in as far as I'm aware, because I know he dies in Sonic Adventure. Well, I mean, I guess he doesn't really die. The Flicky inside him just gets freed, and the robot shell that we all know and love is the thing that we never see again. So I guess it's debatable as to whether or not he dies, but I don't know. Like, in terms of his appearance in Sonic Adventure, I think he's a decent character. Definitely he's got, like, that redemption arc, because in the beginning, he is evil. He is one of Eggman's robots, but then, as we see later in the game, Amy is able to kind of give him some emotion and basically convince him, hey, just because you have evil programming doesn't mean you have to be evil, which is kind of a good character arc for him, I guess. Even though he's only in this game and, like, you don't see him that much in the game, he's only got, like, 3 levels, but honestly, like, I think that this is some good character development for him, and I like it. Like, even though he's only in this game, I still do like what they did with him, and I do like that he has more of a serious and emotional, like, character arc. I do like that about him. I think I'd go A here, honestly, just because, you know, like the way his character changes throughout the game is kind of emotional in a way. Like the way he kind of like just fights the programming in his brain and just like goes against everything he's been taught and kind of learns how to be good, even though he dies in the end. Like, I think that's pretty good character development, and I think he's deserving of being an A for that. Silver the Hedgehog, Sonic 06's titular character, except it's not. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle with Silver. Like, I think he's okay. I'd probably give him A tier. Like, I do think his character is pretty cool. Like, again, he's got good character development, and I do like that. I feel like after Sonic 06, he didn't really do a whole lot. Like, he was in Generations, but then again, everyone was in Generations, so... And he was in Sonic Forces too, but he didn't really have much of a role in that game. He didn't really have a role in really any of the other games after that, which is kind of sad, because I feel like there was a lot they could have done with him, and then they just didn't. So, you know, I do feel like Silver is definitely a missed opportunity, but in terms of Sonic 06, it's kind of like the same with Gamma, where, you know, he was kind of bad. Like, not bad, like, he was trying to protect the future, and, you know, he was doing what he thought was right, but, you know, in Sonic and Shadow's eyes, he was the bad guy. But then, of course, by the end, you know, he's kind of teamed up with them and become one of their allies, and, you know, it's similar character development, and I do like that, and I think I'd give him A tier, though, honestly, like, because he does have that good character arc, and I do like that about him, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. And, of course, we have to put him next to Blaze so that the Sylvain shippers, you know, are happy in this, so, you know. Ooh, Espio, ooh. I don't know. It's either A tier or S tier for me. Honestly, I'm thinking A tier, just because I feel like they don't do a whole lot with him. No, I take that back. Like, they do a lot with him, but it's just not very often, so you don't see a lot of him too much of the time. But I was just thinking back to, the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, where, spoilers, he was, like, the murderer in that game, which I know out of context it sounds really weird, but, he was, like, the villain in that game. Not really, like, he was still an ally, but he was, like, a pretend villain in that game because it was a murder mystery game where people actually got murdered. But, you know, they definitely did a lot with his character in that game, and I definitely, give them a lot of appreciation, or not appreciation, but I give them a lot of respect for that. And, honestly, like, Sonic Heroes, like, he's pretty cool in that game, and I'm trying to think of what else he's in. Sonic Rivals 2, anyone? Again, like, this is a character where they don't do a whole lot with him, but, you know, when they do decide to bring him out, like, they usually make him pretty cool. You know, he's a really stealthy ninja, he's got the really dark personality, again, he swears, so that's pretty cool. Honestly, I'm thinking A tier. I've always really liked him, he's always been one of my favorites. But where in A tier to put him? Gosh, I don't know. Better than Blaze? I don't know. Silver? Gosh. I don't know, this is so hard. It's like you're making me pick my favorite children. Come on, man, this is impossible. I think I'll put him above Silver, but below Blaze. I think that's fair. Okay, mate, it's the Australian! Oh gosh, what is her name? Why am I blanking? I should know this. I don't have to look it up. I know she's from Sonic Rush Adventure, I just don't remember her name! Oh, I don't want to have to look this up! Marine the Raccoon, that's it. I knew I didn't have to look it up. And, again, I haven't played these games. Obviously, I feel like I shouldn't be able to, really, rank this character just because, I mean, I couldn't even remember her name, so how am I supposed to, like, rank her in a Sonic character's tier list? I feel like B tier, just because I do like that she's Australian, and, you know, they kind of gave her, like, a pretty decent personality, I think, from what I've seen. You know, she's kind of like, a little bit like Charmy B, but I think a little bit more enjoyable. I don't know, I'm thinking B tier, honestly. Probably behind Dr. Eggman, but you know, I think she's very average. Like, there's nothing wrong with her. I think there's a lot they did right, but at the same time, like, this is the only game she's ever been in, so it's kind of hard to, like, give her more praise than what's in this game, because we haven't really ever seen much of her ever since. Gosh, I hope she's doing alright. Oh, Mega. Okay, easy S tier, let's be honest. I mean, he's the most cynical character out of everyone here. He is amazing, I love him, he's awesome, like, let's be real. Like, he is he's not afraid to diss the player or the other characters, he's just very matter-of-fact, and he's perfect, and I love him, and I think he belongs in S tier for that reason alone. Not as good as Sonic and Shadow, but definitely I think he deserves a spot in S tier because he is the GOAT of Sonic robots, which isn't saying much because there's only 3 robots on this list. Cream the Rabbit, okay. I'm leaning, I said leaning, that's a word. I'm leaning towards A tier. I feel like this character is definitely like one of the more unique ones from a personality-wise, and I think that in all the games she's in, she's been portrayed pretty well. You know, Sonic Advance games, Sonic Heroes, Shadow the Hedgehog, and I really like the character. Obviously, there's another one of the little kid characters, but you know, I feel like they usually do her well, and I think her design's pretty good, and you know, I really like her in Sonic X. She was in Sonic X a lot, really. I feel like they're really pushing for her to be like one of the main characters back then. Unfortunately, that's not really the reality now, but overall, I think A tier is appropriate for her. I'm feeling low A though, probably behind Silver. You know, I feel like these guys are a little bit more cooler personality-wise, but you know, I still think Cream is deserving of the A tier overall. Storm the Albatross. Now, I have a bit of a soft spot for this guy, not really because of his character, but actually because of something I was involved in. Gosh, what was that? Like, that was a while ago. It was like a year and a half ago. It feels like forever ago. But I was a part of this really big Sonic art collab that happened with a bunch of really talented Sonic artists, and I was basically in charge of drawing Storm the Albatross for this big character collaboration for Sonic's 31st anniversary, so I definitely have a bit of a nostalgic spot for this character, not really because of him in the games or his personality, but, you know, just because I sort of have that connection with him, and, you know, I always kind of think back at that time and like, wow, that was pretty cool that I did that. I think I'm gonna have to give him probably C tier. Like, again, the Sonic Riders cast, like, they're okay. I don't know, like, they've just never really been my cup of tea. I think I'll give him high C, because, you know, he is a decent character. Like, he's definitely my favorite out of the 3 of the bird characters. I don't really know what they're called, but you know, I think that he is kind of fun. Like, obviously he's like the big, dumb Patrick Star character of the bunch, but, you know, I think that what they did with him was pretty good. And again, I do have that soft spot for him, so C tier it is. Vector the Crocodile. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I think A tier again. I think A tier, he is pretty deserving of A tier, let's be real. Like, this is one of the best written Sonic characters. Like, he's just a guy who wants money so that he can pay his rent. Like, that's already really relatable. Like, you can't deny that. He is a very relatable character. And I mean, his voice is hilarious. Like, again, like Omega, like, his voice is just amazing. Like, S tier voice, and I don't know, like, he's just a really funny character. He's really goofy. In the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Heroes, like, he's just a really fun-loving, goofy character, and I think he is deserving of S tier. I don't know, Not S tier, what did I say? I meant A tier, I think. Not S tier, like, where in A tier do I want to put him? Ah, gosh. I almost want to put him, like, above Blaze? You know what, I think I'm gonna do that. I think, but then SBO, I don't know, this is so hard. You do not understand how hard this is for me. Screw it, I'm putting him in high A, above Blaze. I think that, like, for his comedic moments and even his more serious moments, like, they're sparse, but even in his more serious moments, I think that he is a pretty great character overall. Amy Rose, okay. Definitely high A. I'd say above Vector. Amy Rose is such a well-written character, like, she's very likable. She went from being the damsel in distress in the classic games to being, like, very independent, being her own sort of hero, and definitely, I don't know, her personality is very, very likable, even though sometimes she's a bit clingy. Like, obviously, like, 20 years ago, she was, like, obsessed with Sonic, and was like, oh, Sonic, you gotta marry me, oh! But honestly, in the newer games, she's kind of strayed away from that, and has definitely become more serious of a character, like, especially in Sonic Frontiers. I love the way she was written in that game, and I really do think that she's grown a lot as a character. Like, 10 years ago, I probably would have put her in, like, B or C tier, just because, like, back then, she was definitely really annoying, but honestly, nowadays, I can definitely get behind putting her in high A tier. She's really cleaned up her act, and I think that Sega's done a great job kind of rounding out her character for the better. Rouge the Bat, okay, I think we all know where this is going. Okay, S tier, where are we putting her? Okay, either above Shadow or below him. I'm trying to decide. Above the Edgelord or below the Edgelord. I'll go below. This character is really well written. She's just really cool and really badass. I mean, that's really the best way to describe her. You know, I like her as a character a lot. I think she looks really cool. She's got great design. And, you know, she does have a good character arc, too. Like, she kind of goes from being kind of, sort of, not really a villain because she was working as a government agent the whole time in Sonic Adventure 2. But I think overall, like, her character is just really good in all of the games she's in. It has taken a little bit of a hit recently, but, like, especially in the older games, man, she is, like, one of the coolest characters. And I mean, she's a government spy stealing emeralds all the time. Like, she's just really cool and awesome. Definitely deserving of S tier. And I mean, you can't really argue otherwise, because then you are wrong. Knuckles the Echidna, again, another S tier character. I think that's pretty fair. I'd say below Rouge, honestly. Like, Knuckles is kind of like, again, he's one of the, I don't want to say dumber characters, but he's always been a little bit less than bright. I think Sonic Boom kind of ruined him for me, just because they really made him really stupid in those games, and I just hated that. I mean, in the Sonic Adventure games, like, I love him. I think, like, he's, like, the perfect level of stupidity. Like, he's not stupid, but he's also not the brightest, and I think they definitely did him best, like, 20 years ago. Nowadays, like, in Sonic Frontiers, again, like, they kind of went back to how he used to be, like, being tricked easily, but also, kind of, definitely giving him more power, giving him more of the anger that he used to have, and I think that it fits his character perfectly, and I think he is once again an S tier character, easily one of the best Sonic characters of all time, and definitely easily deserving of S tier. Tikal the Echidna. Now, she's really only in Sonic Adventure. I think she was in the mobile games, and I believe the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle multiplayer mode, I think. So there's not a lot to go off of in terms of where she's been, but in Sonic Adventure, I really do think that her character does a good time tying the story together and, like, kind of, you know, bringing everything to make more sense as to, like, what's happening, and, you know, she kind of serves as part of the Master Emerald, the Lord of Chaos, which, by the way, I forgot Chaos isn't even on this list, which kind of sucks. But anyway, Tikal, I think, is a very good character, but again, she's not in a whole lot of games, so it's kind of hard to, like, place her on a list. I don't know. I'm feeling B tier just because I do like what they did with her. I think she's a very good, soft-spoken character, very peaceful, probably the most peaceful character on this list, but at the same time, you know, I just feel like everybody in S and A tier is just a little bit better than her, so I think B tier is fair for her. I think I'll give her high B. I think she's very, worthy of high B. Styx the Badger, oh gosh, I'm having flashbacks to the Sonic Boom era. And you know what's funny about this is this character was marketed as like the big new Sonic character for the Sonic Boom games, and then she didn't even appear in the main Sonic Boom game, which was Rise of Lyric on the Wii U. That was like the big Sonic Boom game. Like, there were the 3DS titles which she was in, and I think she was playable in those games, if I'm not mistaken. But in Sonic Boom, she was not in that game at all. Like, I think she might have been name-dropped once or twice, but I don't think she was in that game at all. Like, I haven't played Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric to confirm this, but, you know, like, I just think it's hilarious how they were marketing her as, like, the big new Sonic character, and then they didn't even put her in the damn game, so it's like, what were you doing? I know her most from the TV show that came out around the same time. I watched that growing up, and, you know, I do like that TV show, I like it a lot, but honestly, I was never that big a fan of the character. I'm thinking C tier, honestly. Like, she's a decent character, but I don't know, like, her personality feels so been there, done that. Like, she's very hyperactive, she's very, very rough, and, you know, they kind of gave her, like, an accent, kind of like with Marine. And in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like it was just Marine 2.0. Like, they felt very much like the same character, and I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I think, honestly, I'm gonna have to give her, like, low C, because I do think she's better than all the characters in D tier, but at the same time, I don't really know. Like, I think low C is appropriate for her. Like, she's not the worst character out there, but at the same time, I'm just not really a big fan of hers. And to finish it off, we've got Metal Sonic. Big the cat tier. Well, here's my completed tier list. I'm pretty happy with this. I think that my character placements were pretty fair. I think I might change a few things, like maybe in like a couple years I'd change a few things around, but for the most part, I think this is a pretty accurate representation of my opinions on the Sonic gang, so, you know, I think this is pretty good for today. Maybe one day I'll come back to this idea and do this sort of list again with even more Sonic characters, but I'm pretty happy with this for now. I think this is pretty good for where I stand at the moment with the current Sonic characters. Well, here's to hoping Sega brings some of these characters back one day, because you know what they always say, if it ain't broke, why use them?